When it comes to groceries, I'm always overambitious and think I'm going to be awesome and cook regularly throughout the week. That is not the case.
Hungry Root is perfect because it's your own personal shopper, so they take care of your weekly grocery shopping, recommending healthy groceries tailored to your taste, nutrition preferences, health goals, which makes cooking so much easier for you, Amy.
When I shop for my Hungry Root box every week, I look at my schedule and determine how much I'm willing to cook and how much I need pre-prepared, and always make sure to check the time those recipes take to make.
I love Hungry Root so much because they make it easy to eat high-quality, nutritious food and achieve any diet or health goals, from anti-inflammatory to gut-friendly, gluten-free, or dairy-free, high-protein, and more.
What I love is the automation of this. You can tell Hungry Root what your preferences are, and they fill your cart, and you can make substitutions as you go, and it learns with every box that you fill.
You're going to love Hungry Root as much as we do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life.
Go to hungryroot.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, and use the code BOOKTALK. That's hungryroot.com/booktalk. And use the code BOOKTALK to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life.
hungryroot.com/booktalk. Code BOOKTALK, BOOKTALK.
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Zysol is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Zysol keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all. Take Zysol. At night.
Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse April 3rd, only on Netflix.
Welcome to Book Talk with Jack and Amy. We're currently in the middle of our Throne of Glass analysis, but we have a special episode for you today. This is Jack.
And I'm Amy. And today is Transgender Day of Visibility, and we're honored to release a special episode of our podcast in celebration and support of the trans community. Now, more than ever, trans individuals, especially trans youth, are facing increasing challenges, discrimination, and erasure. Just this year, harmful policies like those from the Trump administration have attempted to strip away recognition and rights from transgender people, making it even more crucial for all of us to stand up, speak out, and take action.
The statistics are sobering. Over 50% of transgender and non-binary youth seriously considered suicide last year, and 1 in 4 trans individuals report losing a job due to discrimination. Black trans women, in particular, face disproportionate rates of violence and systemic injustice. These realities underscore how urgently the trans community needs allyship, advocacy, and concrete support.
But today isn't just about recognizing struggle, it's also about celebrating trans joy, resilience, creativity, and friendship. Trans lives are not solely defined by hardship, and that's why we're so passionate about highlighting stories that center around trans happiness, love, and connection. Stories like Chef's Choice by TJ Alexander, a brilliant, heartwarming rom-com featuring trans characters written by a trans non-binary author who uses they/them pronouns. TJ's work is filled with humor, hope, and found family, and we're so excited to spotlight it on today's episode.
These stories remind us how powerful representation can be, showing not only the realities, but also the joy, friendship, and triumphs within the trans community. As cisgender women, we believe it is our responsibility to listen, learn, and lift up trans voices. You can do the same by supporting trans authors, donating to trans-led organizations, and advocating for trans rights. Visibility matters, joy matters, action matters. And together, we can help build a safer, more affirming world. In the show notes, you'll find links to charities, ways to support trans creators, and resources for any trans individuals seeking support. Let's get into it.
All right.
I am so happy that a listener reached out to us and said, hey, what are you guys going to do for Trans Visibility Day? And there is a read marathon happening that was leading up to today. I told them, I was like, I do not have the hours to do a read marathon. However, we want to support the community. And when I told Amy, she was like, hell yeah. And we were more than happy to jump right into this. And we were recommended TJ Alexander by The Ripped Bodice, who is one of our favorite bookstores here in LA. And I asked him, I was like, what's a great trans rom-com that we can read? And I am so happy they recommended this one.
I was wondering where you got this recommendation. I forgot that you got it from the crew at The Ripped Bodice. So their recommendation is Chef's Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
It was everything you want in a rom-com.
Yeah. I had my heart was fluttering, my legs were kicking, my gasps were gasping. It was a perfect rom-com. Now, before we begin, let us give a little setting of what this book is about. It is called Chef's Choice. It features our heroine Luna and our hero
Jean-Pierre.
I was like, oh, I'm going to say this wrong, aren't I? Jean-Pierre. And they are both trans individuals, and you have Luna, who is an assistant and gets laid off. This is not a spoiler, but like it happens in like the first several pages.
Mm-hmm.
And that already was so triggering to me. I was like, I feel like TJ has definitely worked in corporate America, because there was a lot of lingo where I was like, oh, you know what
it means to put on a face for people so that you tell them what they want to hear rather than saying what you feel.
Yep.
And that is corporate America.
Corporate America. So then once Luna is out of a job, and then we get a fake dating situation with Jean-Pierre, who is a trans man. And Jean-Pierre was one of my favorite MMCs that I've read. Like, he is there was like some kind of like, I don't know, this is how I've ended up dating so many French guys. That's how this pans out. But then you have the two of them in the fake dating situation that are working together to fulfill his grandfather's requirements to win this cooking competition in order to get the family fortune.
To be the recognized male heir of the family fortune and secret recipes, I'm sure, because they're all chefs.
Yeah. It was cute. It was so stinking cute. And it's like you have Euro boy, fake dating, just
New York girl,
very loving mom.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like all these things that make, and of course, like the tension the builds, they kind of don't get along at first. And then, I mean, we have the one bed trope. It was glorious. We got so many tropes coming in here.
There were many, many, many good tropes. The pretending to not understand the language.
Yeah.
One bed.
Yeah, I forgot about I'm going to pretend like I don't know what they're talking about, but keep telling me these sweet, sweet things in French.
Yes. And I will try not to react. I definitely had swoony feelings over Jean-Pierre as well, because we were at the gym the other day and I saw a non-binary individual and I was like, ooh, you look good. Jean-Pierre.
You didn't point them out to me.
I did not. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it.
I literally went up to another woman at the gym to tell her she looked beautiful.
Yes. But I didn't. We were so far away, I didn't want it to come across as if I was saying bad things about them.
I get it. That's why I went up to the woman, because I think because she caught me staring at her, and it's like, no, I'm not judging you. Your just ass looks so. I mean, we didn't tell her ass, but her ass was so.
It was
amazing.
So good.
Yeah,
it was juicy,
and that's so hard. It's like I want to have like a face that doesn't say I'm not judging you, I'm admiring you.
Yeah,
if I'm staring at you. Yeah, Jean-Pierre was so vibrant. Like the characters are so vibrant, and I think that. When you get rom-coms like these, like the characters just need to be someone that you root for.
Mm-hmm.
And which is hard because you have to have them make really stupid mistakes sometimes. And you're just like, why, Jean-Pierre? Just admit your feelings. Or why, Luna? What do you mean you don't think he likes you?
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, because I think TJ does this so well at the start of this book that both characters are immediately in situations that were like, I don't like that. And you're on their side, and you don't need to know anything about them to be like, it doesn't matter what mistakes you've made or will make. Like, I'm on your team. And I think I'm sure that was intentional.
Yeah.
Because you have to convince readers who maybe aren't familiar with trans literature, who maybe aren't sure if they're allies or don't know what it means to be an ally. And it's brilliant psychological warfare in the sense of, like, you have no choice. Your empathy button is getting pushed.
I can see you taking notes with that. You're like, interesting. I immediately loved them because of their situation.
Yes.
Now I must do what you have done. How can I make my characters hurt?
Yep. I am taking notes.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I mean, your point of, you don't know, I mean, TJ doesn't know what readership is coming to this, right? And that is such a good point. Let's be real. Within the romance genre, hetero, cis dynamics are the most prominent that we see in relationships. Quick definition: hetero being male, female, female, male; cis being identifying as the gender you were born as. And those are important things to note. And as I am not someone who has read a lot, or maybe not, I don't think I've read anything where the main character is a transgender individual. So this was really my first step into, trans rom-com, trans romance. And I love it. Like, I think that TJ did an incredible job where, as someone who's coming from an outside perspective, I could step in, and I learned so much in this book.
Yeah. I completely agree. It was not force-fed to you, but it was also not watered down. It wasn't shy about what it means to be a trans individual in a trans community, or a trans individual with no community.
Yeah.
And I think that was really important, because we got to kind of understand why having trans community is important for individuals who are transitioning. I loved how much TJ just leans into stereotypes.
Yeah.
And stereotypes can be dangerous, but I think the use of stereotypes really highlighted the humanity of each of these characters. And I know that almost feels like an oxymoron, but it really worked for me.
Can you give me some examples of that? Because I think some of the stereotypes, like, you have, for me, I immediately think of, like, Luna's mom, who is so aggressively such
Karen.
an ally. Yeah.
She's both an ally and a Karen at the same time.
Yeah, like, she's like, I am going, and she admits, like, she's a Karen, but, like, she is such an aggressive ally, but, like, still says things carelessly. And, her daughter, Luna, still says she's cis. She just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I think that's a great example of, like, this one of the spectrums of, like, stereotypes.
Yeah. And not, when you're an ally, but you don't understand the nuances of being an ally for that particular person or that particular gender or situation, you lean in hard to, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'm going to advocate. Whereas sometimes, especially in Jean-Pierre's case, it's like, you're making the situation worse. You're making me more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Please let it go. And that was really illuminating for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really tricky thing to navigate, no matter what your gender, what your sexuality, etc.
Yeah. I love Luna and Jean-Pierre, other than the fact that they're just so stinking cute together. But other than that, like, I do love that TJ uses them as two ends of opposite spectrums, right? You have Luna, who has an incredibly supportive mom. You have Luna, who's found a community. Luna, who has found, a sense of sureness in who she is, right? She's farther in her own journey, right? You might say. And then you have Jean-Pierre, who does not have the support of his family, who does not have a community, and everything about their experience and the way that they define things was also fascinating, because one of my favorite conversations and my biggest takeaway from this conversation is stepping back and be like, well, no, not me to fucking decide, which is kind of the point I think that GJ has is that Luna defines their relationship as a queer relationship. And Jean-Pierre says, I'm a man, you're a woman, we are straight. And the takeaway was Luna was saying, hey, that's up for me to that's how I define. That's how you define. It's not up to me to change how you define us. And it's not like someone is going to come off on the street and be like, quick, how do you guys identify as a couple? Right. But I just felt like that was like a really poignant moment of like, and for me, where I was like, I didn't even think about like, there's no one size fits all definition.
Right. And it has to be about mutual understanding between, the partnership. I really enjoyed and struggled with that moment, because I was like, I'm on Luna's side on this. I'm as a queer woman, right? I understand Luna not wanting to be in a heteronormative relationship, right? And so it was very eye-opening to see all the nuances, and I knew this within my own community, but it's the case in every community, right? You can be the same, but you can also think completely opposite, right? It's whether you're cisgender in the Latino community, in the Asian community, in the Black community, or if you're transgender, like these two are, your approach and how you view things can be completely different. We're not homogenous.
Yeah. I think let's look at sorry to bring in your relationship, but like you're engaged to a woman and you are both bisexual women, and both of you guys have, you're both similar experiences, bisexual women, but at the same time approach things differently too. Yeah.
Well, and I think what I'm getting at is just because they're transgender does not mean that their experiences in life are going to be the same.
Yeah.
Just because Emma and I are both bisexual, does not mean we're going to have the same experiences in life. And therefore, we're not going to have the same feelings about topics. She might be more perturbed by something than I am. I might be more annoyed by something than she is, simply based on what experience has taught me.
Perfectly well said, because there is no one cookie cutter definition and identification. And you have, even with the, having the representation of Luna and Jean-Pierre, and Luna talking to Jean-Pierre about how he needs to have that community, the other male transgender or masc leaning community that he really needs. And you can see the importance of it, even when they're talking about, getting top surgeries. And one of the characters says, does that tingling on the side keep happening? And it's like, oh yeah, for at least a year, that's going to keep going on. And, admiring the scars and, the look at the nipple, like the nipple's such a good color.
I love that moment too.
That was a good, and more things I haven't thought about, and also more things of like, of course, like, why wouldn't you want someone to be able to talk to and relate to in such a way that it experience not just like the emotional and mental things that you're going through, but also literally the physical things.
Right. It's not the same, but I could see how if you had a friend who also had, and tell me if you want to cut this, if you also had a friend that had a breast reduction.
Yeah.
That you would want to talk about those experiences, and was yours like this?
Yeah.
Right.
Whenever I do meet someone who has a breast reduction, I'm always like, did they remove your nipple? They removed mine.
What kind of cut did they do?
Yeah, it is like, so when they started talking about like nipples being removed, I was like, wait, I want to see your nipple. I get it.
Yeah, I loved like the playfulness of, I'll show you my scars if you show me yours. I think what I loved so much about this is that you got to experience joy with these characters as they experienced it. Luna watching Jean-Pierre experience things for the first time was joyful. But even just seeing Jean-Pierre, you know, have these experiences was joyful. And I think TJ did something that I don't know that a rom-com has ever done for me, which was like touch my soul. And I'm not trying to be dramatic, but never have I felt that two characters were more real than these two characters.
Yes. And I think that speaks volumes, because here are two characters that are having experiences that I don't understand. Mm-hmm. I have not lived it. I have not been a part of the community. I do not have any transgender friends who have like talked to me about their experience like that. Right. And, you know, versus, I mean, as if I say this as if I've experienced someone who's like lived a mafia romance, you know, like there's a lot of things I haven't experienced out there. But to your point, though, is like you have all these other relationships. And this is like a book that you might think, oh, I don't relate to this book in so many ways. And yet it is so pure. The characters are so good, so pure that it can touch your soul and you can relate to them. Because it is also still very relatable in many ways, too.
Well, yeah, because they're human beings.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's a shocker.
At the end of the day, like, we all want the same thing. We want to be happy. We want to have a companion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess not everybody wants a companion, but those are things we can all agree with. We all want to be treated with respect. And, you know, it's the simple things in life that these characters are asking for. And you can empathize with that. You can sympathize with that. I don't know. I guess I won't put words in anybody's mouth, but for me, you just want the best for them.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you put words in everyone's mouth. Everyone should want the best for Luna and Jean-Pierre. They're fucking adorable. What made me also, I think, so compassionate for these characters is that I didn't understand the layers of complex emotions that come from just wanting something. And I'm going to look to Jean-Pierre and him wanting a family and how much that wrecks him, not just because of, you know, for physical reasons and, you know, that there would physical reasons that, you know, he's struggling with, but just the idea of him saying me wanting a family now is going to make everyone associate me as a woman, you know, or having feminine urges.
Well, it threatens his masculinity.
Yeah.
Right? And so even this transgender man is negatively impacted by toxic masculinity.
Fucking patriarchy does it again.
I understand that struggle of not that it's a pendulum. I mean, in some people's eyes, it's probably a pendulum swing to go from I was born female to now I'm a transgender man. But to still value family and home and wanting to raise children,
where that has nothing to do with gender, that has everything to do with your own desire. But then because of fucking toxic masculinity, Jean-Pierre is like doesn't even get to express that or feel that without some kind of guilt associated. And how fucked is that?
Right.
Of the community, not Jean-Pierre.
Yeah. Because if Jean-Pierre was a cisgender man, we'd be like, ugh.
Right?
Put a ring on it. Like, let's go. Right?
Yeah.
But because he is transgender, he fears it's not attractive. He fears it's not masculine enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mindfuck. You just can't win.
No, you can't. And that's where, like, so many times Luna just kind of comes back to, like, we have to define it ourselves. You know, Fortunately, Jean-Pierre, of course, not only is he a French man, he is a rich French man. Give me all the tropes. But, you know, like, she kind of had this moment of like, what would it be like for her coming home from work and, you know, there's food on the counter, you know, Jean-Pierre with the kids and stuff. And like, that sounds like it's amazing. And it just, what I love about it is that it actually made me think of, I have a cousin. His wife is the main income and he stays at home with the two kids. Like, he stays at home with them. And I love that. And like, that's their dynamic. And he is the best dad. And, you know, they have such a great partnership. And that was like a choice they made. And, you know, he doesn't feel threatened his masculinity or anything like that. And it's like, nor should, like, that should just be something that we look at and say, like, that's amazing that any couple can find the dynamics that they want. And so it's kind of what Luna comes back to time and time again, is saying we have to define this the way we want to. And while that is poignant for, obviously, like right now with what we're talking about within the trans community, LGBTQ community, but that is so poignant for like any couple, right? Is that every couple has to say, okay, well, we're going to have to ignore outside sources or outside input. What do we define this as?
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to be clear on something. It's not just cisgender masculinity that makes these conversations or the things that Jean-Pierre and Luna deal with difficult. One thing that this book doesn't really touch on, that we can kind of see it in Jean-Pierre, is this idea that there's a lot of disagreement and prejudice within the queer community as well, that makes these conversations and how you talk and think about these things very difficult, right? You're not only facing pressure with, the cisgender people around you, you're also facing pressure from the queer community who you suddenly don't feel like is your community.
Yeah.
But the cisgender people put you all in one bucket.
Yeah. Like you go LGBTQ plus, yay. Everyone's just over there and having a good time.
Yeah. I mean, if you talk to a queer person, they will tell you there is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
In queerdom. And that was shocking to me when I first encountered it.
Yeah.
And this book, and I think rightly so, this book does not address that, does not encounter that. I think there was enough going on, especially with, Luna saying, I don't really care if I'm not passing, but encountering moments where she's being judged for not passing and not wanting to put up with those situations. There was enough. We didn't need to layer on
the other complications. There's only so much that like TJ can save the world.
Yeah.
I don't want to say save the world, but like TJ handles there's already so much that TJ takes on in this book.
Yeah.
In a great way that I think asking for more is selfish. So therefore we shall ask for more in the next book.
Yes, exactly.
TJ, if you can handle that there, that'd be great. Thank you.
I think when I did listen to the audio, and the narrator did a fantastic job, let me just say. But as I was listening, I really, really appreciated how there is not a scene wasted. Every scene is about either developing the relationship, teaching the reader something about what it means to be trans, or to, see the world through the transgender perspective. And everything felt important.
Yeah.
I was either learning something or somebody was developing.
Yeah, right.
Or both at the same time.
Like I was developing, they were developing. I don't know. Everyone was. There's
a lot
happening.
of developing.
It was, I think what speaks volumes, not just on TJ's skill, but of the world, is that, and how this makes it feel so seamless, right? And that this doesn't feel like some kind of like educational lesson of saying like, okay, now I'm gonna like force you to learn everything. And it's like, I do want to be forced to learn everything, but like that's not what this is. This is a wonderful romantic story, but there's just these natural elements where you realize, oh wow, transgender people, transgender men and women have to face things that I have never thought of. And I never in a million years realized that going through airport security was going to be that big. I didn't realize how threatening, how scary, and how violating that could be. And for context, let me know if I have this correct, Amy, that when you go in, if I remember this correctly, when you go into the body scanners, right, and you put your hands over your head, that the security guard designates which gender they identify you as. So if you are which sex, thank you. Which sex. So if they say female and they scan and they see maybe things that, like if they haven't had bottom surgery, I don't know if I'm saying any of this correctly, but like if they, I think the way Luna says it, if they see things that they think quote unquote should not be there, then they get pulled aside. And that this happened to one of her friends, and they weren't even given a woman security guard. It was a male security guard, and stripped them down.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't understand quite how the body scanner works based on Luna's description. But like you said, it's, if you're missing stuff, it doesn't the body scanner doesn't care. But if you've got too much stuff,
Yeah.
the body scanner will flag you. Whether that's parts or you don't fit an expected
shape
or or like I'm not quite sure, but I was clueless. I had no idea that that's what the body scanners did. And I'm appalled. I'm not being violated in the same way, but I don't like it.
No, I hate it. I hate that, like, you're telling me you have to scan based off of my body parts. And I don't like, and I know you're scanning my body, but like, I hate that. Like, I used to joke early on when I first did it, be like, oh, they're seeing me naked. And now I'm just like, well, how much of that is actually true? Because I hate that violation that they're having to do. And I know it's like for our protection and for our security, like, please don't think I don't recognize that. But like, there's got to be another way, because I'm not a fan of this.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not either.
Just everyday things where, you know, I go through airport security and never in a million years did I think that was a thing. And then this is like, and it's not even like she's traveling to Paris, guys. Like, Jean-Pierre's French. Like, this makes sense. The woman's got to travel. And then, so that's what I mean by things happening naturally in its own way. But that just shows how everyday situation really impacts transgender individuals that I had never thought of in a million years.
Yeah, this is a really bad metaphor, but if I had to really, really boil it down to be very, very simple, it's like being a left-handed person in a world where all the tools are made for right-handed people. There are more deaths because of power tools or accidents, deaths, injuries with tools, scissors, power tools, whatever the case, by left-handed people because the items are not designed to be used by the left hand.
And the world is not designed to
and the
recognize or respect transgendered individuals. Yeah.
Yeah. So the world has not designed itself to be ambidextrous.
Yeah.
And in the same sense, the world has not designed itself to accommodate anything that isn't heteronormative. It's very eye-opening to experience the world through Luna and Jean-Pierre's experience throughout this novel, because you see how much you take for granted as a cisgender individual. Yeah. And again, I don't feel like it was shoving it down my throat. I don't feel like it was preachy.
It just existed because that's the truth.
Yep. It just was.
Yeah. And, you know, even things where there's like a joke that like, so Luna's out with all of her friends and I believe like they're all trans women, and Jean-Pierre is there invading girls' brunch, and they make a joke saying like they all are engineers or online, not engineers, but
they're all
software.
Tech. They're all tech.
Yeah, they're all tech, because that requires working from home and not being on a camera, because that doesn't mean that means they aren't as judged.
Right. And they specialize, or, you know, in Luna's friend's case, they build apps and program.
Yeah.
Because then if they get fired, the app fails. They can't fix the bug or whatever the case is. So it's job security for them too.
I don't do math. There's no world. Like, I mean, to have to be able to like choose a career path so that you, not because it's your passion, not because that's something that you've always wanted to do or that you're just really good at it, but because that's the safest career path for you. And that you get to hopefully be discriminated less against because they won't have to see you.
Yeah. I mean, in the opening scene, when Luna is laid off, she's judged for having dyed the tips of her hair.
Yeah.
Jack, were you ever told that you were unprofessional because you dyed the tips of your hair pink?
Only my mother, but my boss said it was fine.
And it's, again, it's a huge double standard.
Absolutely.
And I think it's also a cop-out. I think that people nitpick certain things with sexualities, genders that they don't understand because that's the more acceptable way to discriminate against them.
Yep. Which, if you're not willing to say what you're really thinking, then you should know that what you're thinking is probably not great. I have no shame in saying what I think. unless it's to do with different types of Eiffel Towers and we're not in safe company. That's the only time I censor myself.
Yes.
You know, just different points of the conversation of like, there's another part where I want to talk to before we get there, but like, you know, the importance of being passing, right? Of what does it mean? Like, you know, Luna sometimes doesn't care if she's passing and she just gets to live her life. Sometimes it does matter more. Jean-Pierre, it really matters to him that he's passing, you know, and it is another thing that they have to think about constantly, right? They get up in the morning and do they have to do their hair a certain way? Are they able to roll out of bed and just go live their life without being judged? A lot of times the answer is no. And I think that's really hard. And you know, like the trans influencers that I follow are all very passing, but they're like gorgeous and wearing makeup. And, you know, like I don't know. I'm like, is like how I never thought of the like, oh, the fear of like, I don't get to just get out of bed and exist if passing is a concern.
Right. Well, and also think about how many invasive surgeries have they had to have? How much cosmetic procedures do they invest in? Because that brings them comfort. I mean, and cisgender people do that all the time too, but there's a different sort of fear associated with that practice when you're trying to pass.
Yeah. I mean, I don't put on, if I leave the house and I don't have mascara on and eyebrows, my biggest fear is like, you know, the hot boy won't look at me, you know, won't take me seriously. Theo James won't look at me even though he's married and committed, you know, like it's not a matter of if I don't do my hair and makeup a certain way, people will treat me differently because then I'm not passing, you know?
Exactly.
And that's just another thing where it's like, talk about another layer of level of privilege. Like I just get up and walk away. I think that what's important is that like, I don't walk away from this. I walk away from the book wanting to do better. I don't walk away from the book like, I'm trying to say this in a way where it's like, I don't want people to think they're going to read this and feel horrible. Unless you need to feel horrible, then maybe you should feel horrible. But like, you know, I'm just like, I think it's important to read this because even though there was a lot that I didn't know and a lot that I know I can do better, I feel like TJ does a great job where it's something that I feel more inspired than like, wow, I really fucked up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this book is very safe. No matter what level of knowledge you have,
allyship
you are, it is a safe space to learn and be introduced to the nuances of, you know, transgender community, transgender experience. I think it's an excellent read. And just read it because it's cute.
Yeah.
Read it because the romance is adorable.
It's so cute. Also, I do want to, I mean, there's no way we can't talk about it because, you know, TJ does great job with the spice as well. I think that was some of, I mean, also great job. I don't know, will TJ listen to this? Should I send this to them? I will. But like, you know, but like not only like TJ does a great job with spice because I was, you know, I'm like the first time they kiss, the first time they actually have sex, I'm always like, you know, the fact that Jean-Pierre hadn't had sex before, like, you know, after their surgery, it, you know, it was definitely like a, ooh, you know, but like excited for them. But at the same time, I had no idea about so many things. And I learned a lot, but I really applaud TJ because I didn't feel voyeuristic, you know what I mean? Like I felt like I was reading something really sweet.
I think the inclusion of and maybe this is bad for me to say, and I'm gonna have to really think about this. I feel like the inclusion of the spicy scenes was both brave but also very not necessary.
No, I agree. I know what you're saying, where it was like, if you're gonna educate in the safest way possible, handled in the most pure way possible.
Well, and go 100%, right?
Yes.
I felt the spicy, right? Like, you know, when you read a spicy scene and you get aroused, and I was into it. I enjoyed the spice, but I also felt the connection between the characters, and I was also learning so much about anatomy at the same time.
Yeah.
Things I had no clue about but the whole scene was not about, here's how the anatomy of transgender sex works.
Yeah.
That's not what it was about. It was about connection, but there was enough information there that you could also learn about the sex and the anatomy. It was, I don't know how they mastered the balance, but it was so impressive to me.
Truly, truly, truly impressive, because in this case, both Jean-Pierre and Luna have had bottom surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how they call it in the book. And it is, and I'm happy that TJ had it happen on both accounts. As I learned, T for T, trans for trans relationship. As Luna says, that's the ideal.
Yes.
And it's the ideal because your partner understands things that a cis partner wouldn't understand. Just saying, that's why it's ideal. By doing that, I learned about both, right? Like I learned, I'm like, I'm learning, like, they're both things. And these are things that like I've wondered before, but also I feel, I don't know, like I feel guilty about Googling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, I've never want to be mean or disrespectful or anything like that. And now I feel like I've learned a lot more in a way that's like natural and sweet and hot and, in a really, in a good way.
Yeah. And it, again, a safe environment. And I don't know if this, I don't know if a lot of people like us don't look it up because they don't think about it, or don't look it up because they don't know what the internet's going to give them, because the internet is a creepy place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they just don't know, like if they know someone who is trans, they don't know how to ask, or is it rude to ask?
Yeah.
If, because you also don't want to treat individuals like they're an artifact in a museum. Like, I want to dissect you and understand everything about you.
Because it's it's a balance between being able to ask questions, listen to a community, listen to an individual. However, like you said, not treat them like they're an artifact in a museum, and doing your part and learning and educating yourself. So there is that balance. And I think a book like this is such a perfect balance in a way, right? You have TJ who's educating us. And at the same time, like, I'm learning more, and I want to, read more books. I want to learn more. And I think that now I'm 100% going to read more of TJ's works. I think there's another book based off of Luna's roommate. And I know. I think that, I think that was the first book, and this is the second one in the series, right? Yeah. So, I mean, like, and there's more. I 100% will be reading more. And it was done in such a wonderful way that this is, just because this is a community that I am not a part of. I'm an ally. I'm a fierce ally, hopefully not as aggressive as her mom and, saying things that, shove my foot in my mouth or anything like that. But, I'm not a part of the community. And yet I really loved reading this, and how much heart there is to this, and how talented TJ is as a writer, and how important it is to read outside of what someone's norm is, right? Just because it's not my community doesn't mean that I shouldn't read more and celebrate it and, consume more sweet, loving, wonderful romances.
Yeah. There is something, and I don't know if this is true for you, but when I was growing up, so yaoi, if you know what it is gay hentai manga. So sexy boys having sex in comics. Very, very popular in Japanese culture. Usually the artists are female artists, and the consumers are female as well. Women. They're women, usually cisgender women. I being one of them. My favorite Harry Potter ship, Harry and Draco. There's something about
seeing two boys kiss. I get it.
Yes.
I know.
Yes. And if you've taken the leap to, read about two boys kissing, two women kissing, you can,
like, just because like, I see what you're saying, where it's like, I am not two boys kissing, and yet I will read about two boys kissing gladly.
And you'll think it's
sweet
beautiful
and amazing. And even though I am not two boys, like,
yeah.
there were so many things also that Luna talked about being a woman as well, where I was like, girl, I get you. I understand,
Yeah.
I understand that. So no excuses. We can all learn and expand more. So I am so thankful to our listener who reached out. I think it made us, expand and our own reading horizons and being in, I hope everyone here goes and reads TJ's books and, not just TJ's, but other trans authors, and continue to support the community because it matters. It really does.
Yeah, it does.
So, wow. Thank you guys. This was a great one. And, I'm really happy and I can't wait to, this really, I've been on a kind of a reading slump. I've just been reading so much romantasy that I just needed a break. And this reset me. This reset my soul.
Rom-coms are actually a very good palate cleanser. Because the stakes are there, but they're not.
The stakes are there. They're going to get together. It's going to be happily ever after.
Yeah. It's just, you know what you're getting. And this was pure joy.
This was pure joy. So thank you for listening to today's episode. We did not have a script of a book talk for book talk.
Yeah, we did not.
Stick around for tomorrow, where our next episode of Throne of Glass comes out.
Do you want me to?
No, this feels natural.
If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe, follow, give us your support, rate us, review us. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
At the handle
Book Talk for Book Talk.
You can go to our website,
booktalkforbooktalk.com.
or you can go to our Patreon,
Book Talk for Book Talk. Hey, we got a trademark.
We did get a trademark. That's everyone for Amy. Yeah. And like I said at the beginning, go to the show notes to get more information on how to donate, how to support, and if you need resources, there are resources available there for you too. Love you all. Happy Trans Visibility Day.
Happy Trans Day of Visibility.
I just need to say words correctly.
I think they mean the same thing.
I know, but the one time whenever I have kids, it's going to have to be the easiest name ever. It's just, no, I'll be fucked no matter what.
You're still going to call them by the dog's name. I promise
and
you
be
that.
I don't even have a dog.
Artemis.
Artemis. That was my dog when I was 10. I'm sorry.
Did you know 1 in 2 women wear the wrong foundation? Matching foundation is hard, but Il Maquillage makes it easy. Take the Power Match quiz to find a perfect match in seconds, customized to your unique skin tone, undertone, and coverage needs. With 600,000 5-star reviews, Woke Up Like This is our best-selling foundation for a reason. Available in 50 shades of weightless natural coverage. And with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. Just pay shipping. Take the quiz at ilmaquillage.com/quiz. That's ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.